Hello, friends. This is Spot of Nerds, and we're gonna go a little old school. And what I mean by that is, you don't get to see my beautiful face. So, you're just gonna have to go back and you're gonna have to watch some of my old stuff, which is not really that old, surprisingly. So, yeah, be sure to check out some of our latest amazingness from our 150th episode to even the more recent review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Uh, I'll obviously don't watch it or listen if you don't want to get spoiled. Um, but we're gonna do more reviews today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever you listen to this, because with the summer season in full swing, a lot of shows, they've either come to an end completely or their seasons are officially over. So this is obviously the perfect time to start catching up on stuff I have yet to watch that's kind of on my list, so on and so forth. We also, I'm very excited to say that we're only a few more days away from the release of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I will definitely be uploading a lot of content of that. You probably have seen recently on the podcast slash Rumble channel, we are uploading a lot more of gameplay. Hate it or love it, I don't have the wherewithal to buy the equipment that will allow me to stream it directly. So basically, I just point the camera and record. So I don't know, it's something to keep in the background if you're ever bored, or if you just genuinely want to see a walkthrough of Zelda. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. That way, if you want to just, watch somebody play the game the way it's meant to be played, then that's what you got to do. Because, I understand there's people out there, like, they want to try to beat the game as quick as possible or easy as possible. But personally, the Legend of Zelda, the entire purpose of that series is to literally explore every square inch of that game, from treasures to games to the story, the plot, side quests, everything in between. That's truly what makes it legendary. No pun intended. So, yeah, so some of the movies, two of them recently, I've been able to see recently, was one that I was really excited for, and I was not let down. Unfortunately, it did not do so hot in the box office. That movie was Renfield, with Nicolas Cage and the guy from a lot of other films you probably know him from. He's also in the show The Great, which is on Hulu. It's actually a pretty decent show. Their season 3 is actually starting up here pretty quick, so that should be interesting. But yeah, it's a bummer because, Renfield was the parody drama horror movie related to Dracula in today's modern day and age, and the relationship between him and his familiar, Renfield. And I really enjoyed it. Spoiler, it's a very different take on the Dracula genre, I guess. The Freaky Friday scary monster type films. Of course, they incorporate a little bit of that into it with the old schoolness. But the main focus of it really is, the familiar is, he's been treated like shit his whole life, specifically being the familiar for Dracula. Nicolas Cage, he's trying to take over the world, and in between you have today's modern day society stuff. So it's funny, it's incredibly graphic. Definitely, the gore factor is definitely on par with everything I wish for in a film. Specifically, I'd almost put it on par with Evil Dead. And I can understand where it didn't necessarily do so hot in the box office because, again, this is definitely not gonna be something you take your kids to. I always feel so bad for Nicolas Cage because the guy can't catch a break. He borderline bankrupted himself. He has just pushed so many movies out straight to DVD because he's got to make every dollar that he can. And he finally gets one of these big budget films, and I think it did. I mean, it did okay in the box office. It didn't do great, but it did okay. But it wasn't enough to give him like that huge status again. You know what I mean? Where you look at Chris Pratt right now. I mean, the man is a true gentleman and a scholar, and he's dominating the box office for the last. He will be dominating the box office for the next few months with Mario, and now Guardians 3. It's like the man is unstoppable. So your heart goes out to Cage because the man is trying so hard to get back into the game. And even I've talked about before the other movie he did about himself, The Great Things About Incredible something or other. Look it up. It's got Pedro Pascal in it. It's fucking amazing. Seriously, another movie that did not get the praise that it deserved. But no, seriously, if you are looking for something that's just kind of stupid to watch, funny, but at the same time just graphic and horror-esque, check out Renfield. It really is something that you kind of just watch on a Friday night, maybe with your significant other, if I can say that word, and then or even just your friends and family. If you're just looking for something cheap and easy to watch, you don't have to follow too much of it. It's pretty straightforward. Good cast, visuals are great, story, like I said, subpar, but again, you're not really going to expect much with a movie that's the whole entire basis of a poor relationship between Dracula and his familiar. So, but it's just a good popcorn flick. So check it out if you can. Oh my God, switching gears here. The complete and absolute apocalyptically terrible. Jesus Christ, no wonder DC is completely reimagining and redoing their entire DC universe. And I swear to God, people, I swear on my hand on my heart, it took me 3 weeks to watch it because it's just, I would watch 20 minutes here, I'd watch 20 minutes there. It's so bad, but Shazam Fury of the Gods, or basically Shazam 2, Jesus fuck. Oh my God, this movie is so, I swear, if you think Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern is bad and quite possibly has been voted one of the worst comic book movies of all time, it doesn't take the cake over Shazam Fury of the Gods. Holy crap. Every piece of this film is cringe, from the acting to the story itself is so just, lazy. It literally just says, hey, we broke the magic staff in the first film. Now we're going to make a story about the two halves of the broken staff. What? Oh, and then of course you have these actors and actresses from, like, Lucy Liu, or I think is it Lucy Liu? I forget. But then you also have the other English gal, the older English gal. Like, these are famous actresses that have a solid career behind them, and they've just decided to do this piece of shit? And then you have these scenes where, like, there are two people, the end of the world is literally happening behind them, but they have to have this conversation, like a Full House moment, with the world burning behind them. And even, again, there's so many examples I could use, and maybe we'll come back to it because it's that bad. There's scenes where so Shazam has his crew of other Shazam heroes, and one of the little girls says, like, how do we defeat the bad guys? Well, fucking unicorns. And they just fucking magically find some unicorns, and the way they tame them is with Skittles. I am shitting you not, people. There's fucking unicorns in this film. They're not only just unicorns, they're like dark unicorns, so like evil unicorns. But the way that you tame them is with a bag of fucking Skittles. Jesus fuck, I can get a 2-year-old that could write you a better story. It is, like I said, it is apocalyptically terrible. And the creme de la creme, spoiler, because you know I'm going to throw this on the cherry on the top. The end of the film, major spoiler, they kill off Shazam. And you know what brings him back? A cameo from none other than Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. She literally just magically shows up after the world nearly blows up. She finally shows up after it and says, "Hey, do you want me to bring him back to life?" And everybody's like, "Huh?" And so she picks up the magic stick and she shoves it into the ground, and there he is, back alive again. And she's like, "Hey, stay out of trouble." I swear to God, people, this is exactly what this movie was. It's so fucking bad. Even you can just hear the passion in my voice of like, you want to know why this movie failed? Just that there, right there, what I've told you is just a snippet of how this movie was, from the creation to the writing. Again, the CGI was something out of a Power Rangers movie. It's that fucking terrible. And the dialogue, oh god, it's so fucking cringe. So cringe. So, definitely avoid Shazam, Fury of the Gods at all costs. Again, it took me weeks to watch it. I finally got through it. There is an end credit scene that does nothing for the future of, you know, DC, because again, James Gunn apparently is going to take over and redo the entire universe. And as again, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of James Gunn the person, because he's a pedophile, I do think he makes good films like The Guardians, so hopefully he can maybe transform this into something worth watching. So just, dear God, don't fucking ever watch that film ever. Let's finish this episode up though, because I did want to actually wrap it up with some of the most amazing news on the planet, specifically in relation to Disney's Willow. Now, again, you can go back, broken record moment. There are several episodes where we discuss the Willow series that played out on Disney Plus just a few months ago, actually. And just how abysmally terrible that show was. It was, again, I'm going to use my phrase, apocalyptically terrible. From everything from the writing to the direction, the music. They tried to produce a show for today's generation that has no idea who the fuck Willow is. And I think that is the best way I can describe it. The movie with Val Kilmer was absolutely fucking amazing. It really was. With Warwick Davis, I mean, as much of a douchebag as he is obviously good at what he does in terms of the acting. And Willow it really was a great fucking film. And then you had the series. It was a series where Disney tried so hard to incorporate a CW-esque romance and tried to bring in everything of today in terms of woke political agendas. And you ruined every aspect of what Willow was and what it stood for in relation to the science fiction world. So what did you expect? Because the greatest news I found out is that that show has been officially canceled. Now, spoiler, if you even give two shits, at the end of the first season, they actually give you the cliffhanger that technically there should have been like 2 or 3 more seasons. You know, like they put a book back up on the shelf and it said like volume 1, then there was volume 2, volume 3, and there may have been a volume 4, I'm not really sure, but the bottom line is there were supposed to be other seasons, and it was so apocalyptically bad that Disney was like, we've lost enough money with all of our other woke bullshit. We need to stop this. right now. We need to cut the head off the snake. And you know what? Props to them, because I think that was one of the best decisions they could ever make. Stop making shit, because if you actually bring us good shit, we'll actually watch it. Case in point, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's not rocket science. If you give us fan service, we actually go out and we watch your shit. We also buy your shit, because it's not politics, it's not woke, it's not agendaed, it's not narratives. It's just great content. You could take a lot from fucking Star Trek, if you all recall, of course, with Picard recently. Star Trek gave the fans exactly what they wanted. A fucking fan service reunion of the next generation, and holy shit, for the first time in a very long time, Star Trek actually broke records for people watching. It does not take a rocket science degree to figure this out. To the writers, to the directors, all these people out there, I know they're on strike right now for reasons we'll get into another episode. Fucking Jesus fuck, just make us and give us good content. It is blah, so many words, but anyway, super excited because we will no longer have to deal with that shit. Anyway, all, I will leave you with that. We have got so much more to talk about in relation to the rest of the world. And what I mean by that, of course, another one of my huge idols, Mr. Tucker Carlson. It is semi-official. He is going to start his own show, which hopefully, by the sound of it, is going to destroy the world in the best way possible, because he's going to start giving us truths that we pretty much already know, but of course he now has the facts and proof to bring it to light. And I cannot wait for him to do that. So we'll be talking a lot more about that. Interestingly enough, tomorrow, too, my favorite president of all, Mr. Donald Trump, will be doing an interview on CNN, which is completely mind-boggling to me, but I'm very curious. In fact, I would even say promoting Louder with Crowder, you know, my favorite show, my favorite idol, my favorite conservative, Mr. Steven Crowder. He will be doing a live stream on Rumble, watching the Trump interview on CNN. So that will I'm guaranteed, there's no doubt we're going to be talking about that in the next few days or next few weeks. So stay tuned for that as well. But until then, as always, huge thanks to everyone that watches and listens. You know, do all the usuals if you can, the sharing, the liking, the following. Comment, let me know what you think. Have you seen any of these movies I mentioned tonight? What did you think? Are they just as shit to you as they were to me? So minus Renfield. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. You know, Rumble is starting to blow up, so I keep mentioning it. Keep on that. Rumble is where I want people to be. It's super easy to sign up. It's totally free. It's just like an email account. It is the competitor to YouTube, because YouTube can eat a fat dick because of all the censorship and the fact that they are basically tyrannical douchebags. So, yeah. Anyway, with all that said, thank you all again so much, and we will see you guys next time. Later, y'all.